Hey, thanks for stopping by. This is Anthony Simone with ForeclosureCash.net, and today I want to share with you some important, simple tips to consider when starting your very own foreclosure cleanup business. So a little business 101, if you will. Now, you might be asking yourself, just how big is the demand? Well, if you take into account millions of properties that have been foreclosed on since the year 2005, and the fact that lenders are currently backlogged with an estimated 11 million more properties that are somewhere in the foreclosure process, also known as shadow inventory, and the prediction that 10 million more foreclosures will hit the market in the future, you can understand why the demand has never been higher for qualified companies to come in, clean, and maintain the bank-owned properties until they sell. And this is where you come in. And the good news, there's no experience required. Now, what's involved in this business? Well, basically, there's some lawn and landscape duties that you'll take care of, some basic cleaning, some block changes, and debris removal, and a lot of other optional services that can put extra money into your pocket. So the first thing you want to consider when starting your business is how will you set it up? What legal entity we operate under? And there's a bunch of legal entities that you can choose from, but the four most common are your sole proprietorship, your S or C corporation, which, by the way, that typically comes into play later on down the road when you're making a whole lot of money. You've got your general partnership, and of course, the most popular, the LLC. And I say most popular because a lot of companies choose to operate under this because it provides typically the best layer of protection for your personal and professional assets. Okay, so now let's talk about how you get your customers. Okay, that's the most important part. Where do you find the work? Well, there are basically 35 national contracting companies that send out work all over the nation. It doesn't matter where you are, one or more of these companies will provide work within your area. You also want to locate and start building a relationship with the local REO or bank-owned listing agents in your area. And to tell you the truth here, there really is not a whole lot of advertising needed to do well in this business. Advertising can help give you a bump, but it is not absolutely necessary. Next, you want to decide whether you're going to operate with either employees or subcontractors, or maybe you're going to do the work yourself. And there's pros and cons to each, and you should get familiar with each of them. But for example, subcontractors usually can help offset costs because, number one, they have typically most of the equipment and supplies that you'll need to get going. They own their own business, and a lot of the time they're already skilled at a specific trade. Employees, on the other hand, they work for lower pay, but you'll spend more time in the beginning training and holding their hand as you get started. Next, you want to make sure you have an appropriate resume or menu of services. Now, this is very different from what you might be used to knowing about resumes. You must know the industry language, and you must include specific keywords that they're looking for in regards to services and specific turnaround times. You're going to use this resume to get registered with a lot of the best national work providers, and also to introduce yourself to the local agents within your area. So very important to have that. Next, you're going to want to make sure that you understand how to pass the required tests. Yes, there are tests involved here, and you shouldn't freak out about them, because if you know the answers to the questions, it becomes very simple, and that's exactly what we provide for our students. And they're required to get work. So a good resource for you to take a look at is HUD.gov. A lot of the information can be found there. Next, you want to make sure you have the proper equipment. I mentioned earlier that subs usually have most of it, and you probably have a lot of it sitting out in your garage right now. However, if you don't, one of the best resources you could take advantage of is Craigslist. A lot of people are selling their equipment for very inexpensive prices on Craigslist, so check that out. And finally, you want to make sure to understand where to find the hidden profit opportunities. This is a very, very tough subject in this business, because a lot of the companies that we work with, even the newbies and all the way down to the people that have been in this business for many years, they typically fail miserably at this, and it's something that you can do to put a lot more money in your pocket. And trust me, most companies are leaving a lot of money on the table when it comes to this, and the banks want to pay you for these little known services because it helps them to sell the property faster, and it helps to prevent them from getting city citations on the properties. Okay, so that takes care of this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Make sure you go back and review the 7 tips, but before you do anything else, click the link below this video and go over and download your free guide. We've created a free guide to give you some additional tips, strategies, and tactics, and even more importantly, you'll be able to see other people just like you who have succeeded with our help tremendously. So make sure you do that right now. We're not sure how much longer we're going to give this free guide away, but if you click the link, go over to the page, and we'll get you started with your instant download. Again, this is Anthony Simone with foreclosurecash.net, and I look forward to seeing you next time here on the web. You still here? It's free. Go over, click the link, and get your guide today so you can find out how you can profit too from this lucrative industry. We'll see you on the inside.